Hello, and welcome to another example of a problem solution passage. This one is following our Walt Disney story, and it's called A Mystery Purchase. Walt Disney decided that he wanted to build Walt Disney World in Florida, but he had one major problem. If he tried to buy the huge amount of land that he needed under his own name, many people would notice and would make the land he wanted cost a lot more money. So Walt Disney figured out a solution. He used several fake names like Bill Davis to travel to Florida. He used fake company names when he bought the land so that people would not know that the Disney Company was the one buying all of the land. His plan succeeded, and he was able to buy all of the land he needed near Orlando, Florida for a cheap price. So let's go through and annotate this passage. The topic, it's usually the title. It's describing this mystery purchase. I would probably have called this The Mysterious Purchaser because it's really about Mr. Disney and his business sense. Okay, the main idea. This one to me is sort of unstated. I'm going to write my own main idea for this one. So I'm going to squeeze it in right here. And I'm going to have to abbreviate to fit it all in. Walt Disney had a problem purchasing land. But he came up with a creative solution. So we sort of have to piece together the main idea. It definitely relates to problem solution, so I want to use those words in writing my main idea. But this is true with a lot of passages that are more difficult. The main idea may not clearly be written like it was in this one. That one, the main idea is spelled out for me. But in more difficult passages, you may have to come up with your own main idea. Have to synthesize your own main idea. Keywords. Problem. And it says one problem. Solution. That would be a keyword to this one. A solution. So this is telling me in the passage itself that this is a problem solution passage. Some details. What are some of the things that help explain this to me? First thing I want to identify is what the problem was. So it says if he tried to buy the huge amount of land that he needed, many people would notice, sorry about that, and would make the land cost more money. So his problem was really twofold to me. He needed a large amount of land, and he needed it at a price he could afford. So that was his problem, in my words. Excuse me for sneezing. So what was the solution? What is the other set of details? What did he do about this problem? Well, he used fake names to travel to Florida. He used fake company names when he bought the land so that people would not know it was Disney. And it tells me that that plan succeeded. He was able to buy all of the land he needed for a cheap price. So let's put this in our own words. First of all, what was Walt Disney's problem? Clearly identify. Walt Disney needed a lot of land. I'm going to say a lot of cheap land. So in a nutshell, in my own words, that was the problem. He wanted to build this park and he needed the land at a price he could afford. So let's explain that a little bit further. Let's really dig down and figure out what the problem really was. He knew, let's say Walt Disney knew that sellers would raise their prices. Let's say would raise land prices if they knew his intentions. You imagine when Dollywood was being built and the people around there knew what Dolly Parton was doing. They knew that she wanted that land, and so you can imagine that they might have been tempted to really jack up the price because they knew that Dolly could afford it. They knew that they could get a lot of money once they knew what she was planning to do. So Walt Disney knew that they would raise the price if they knew his intentions. Another part of the problem is that Walt Disney needed a huge amount of land. We're not talking about just a few acres. And he knew that in order to make this dream of his happen, he had to be able to afford a price. He had to be able to cover the cost of that land. So put it in your own words. That's what these foldables are about. Remember, our goal here is to comprehend what we read. Really dig down into that reading and explain it in your own words. So we had a two-pronged problem. He needed a lot of land and he knew what would happen if they found out who he was. So again, we need to address these specific problems. What was it that he did to get around this? He did two major things. He used fake names for himself. So imagine again that Walt Disney, under his own name, is buying up all this land in the area. People are going to begin to wonder, what's he doing? What is the plan that he has in mind? So he used aliases. He changed his name. He used very common names, and he traveled under those names. He also bought land under fake company names. And let me double check that. Yes. So instead of buying land under Disney Corporation, he used aliases for companies. And what was the result of that? This kept land prices low, because sellers didn't realize what was happening. Mr. Disney was a very shrewd businessman. He recognized the problem and he saw a solution. Important details with problem and solution is to ask yourself what happened. Did the solution work? If you can figure that out. And in this case, it tells us that his plan succeeded. He was able to buy all of the land he needed in that location for a cheap price. So this problem solution worked out in his favor. Okay, this is the end of problem solution. I think our next one is about compare and contrast. This next one is my favorite one. But I am going to stop the video and I'll come back and show you how to do that one in the next clip.